Well, the answer to that question is Ridley Scott. I just think the story of Tobit is Ridley Scott territory. It's a 3,000-year-old story, and but I don't think. Does everyone understand that about 3,000 years ago, the Jews in northern Israel were taken into slavery, kidnapped, and hauled off, not to Egypt, but to Babylonia, which is between the Euphrates and Tigris rivers. And so the story takes place in exile. It's a Jewish man named Tobit. I set the story uh, in Amsterdam right before the Nazi invasion, so 1930s. Then the Nazis showed up in 1941. So again, I'm sorry. You're 1.5 billion people know this story, but that's not everyone. Catholics, Christian Orthodox, and a lot of Jews know this story from their religious training. A Jewish girl, a nice Jewish girl, is preyed upon by a demon, and she's married 7 times, and 7 times she's widowed. A demon called Asmodeus comes and kills her new husband before the wedding, after the wedding, before the marriage is consummated. So they never reach the wedding bed. Now, I think the nuns, when they tell this story, yeah, little kids are exposed to this story. I think the nuns leave out the part about the unconsummated marriage, but even little kids. I first heard the story when I was like 8, 9, 10. And I'm just now getting around to putting it into a screenplay. So it's an adapted screenplay. The story's in the Bible. It's in a lot of Bibles. Little kids know from an early age what a wedding is. They know, eventually figure out what a widow is. And so she's a very sympathetic character. So I think primarily, well, it's a fight between good and evil. The bride is named Sarah, and she's a Jew living in London. And the father-in-law is named Tobit, and he is 80-year-old Jew living in Amsterdam. He goes blind and sends his son to retrieve the money that he deposited when he was young. Now, he had forgotten about the money, and now that he really needs it, he remembers and sends his son. But he prays for a guide or a companion to travel with his son, and God sends Raphael. Raphael is the angel associated with guidance and repairing relationships and nature, and he's one of the main characters behind Sarah, the poor victim, and the father-in-law, Tobit. And so let's cut to the chase. There's going to be a huge fight between Raphael, the angel, and Asmodeus, the demon. And no one's going to make this film without reading the Bible. And it's about 8 pages. And all I've done was take each verse and write a scene. And it comes out 98 pages. I had a guy say, "Why are you sending this script to everybody?" And I had, in other interviews, I had told people, yeah, I mean, you read the Bible and then read my script, and you'll know it's Ridley Scott territory. I mean, it's out there. I think it's outside the box. 1.5 billion people know the story, and it's in the Bible, but it's still, to this day, outside the box. I mean, it's hard to imagine a woman being married 7 times and this happening to her. It's, I don't know, it maybe sound hoaxy, but a lot of people, especially people of faith, they know the story, they accept the story, and I think they're ready for it. It's not been filmed before. There's a silent, and I talked to several ministers, a Catholic priest in Dublin, Ireland, and he said, well, the film industry, especially after World War One, had an anti-Catholic bias. So if a story was in the Catholic Bible and not in the Protestant Bible, there was a lot of opposition. And I concur. I think I agree with that. And I asked a Lutheran minister why it was not in the Protestant Bible, and he said, in the United States, Lutherans took Tobit out of the Bible in 1923, which was 3-4 years after World War One, which is suspicious. Tobit survived in Protestant Bibles until World War One. And so I said, why? Why was it taken out? And he said, because it has magic. Magic. I mean, we're in the film industry. What movie these days doesn't have magic? Very few. Industrial light and magic. And so, I think it's Ridley Scott material. His people, he is open-minded to new and innovative projects as he is. His people are very, very protective. They dig this moat around celebrities, and they're not going to let anybody or anything through. They give hell to somebody that's new and they say not qualified. How can you be not qualified? I have a PhD and taught 30 years at not a major college, but a college. And so these people are not opposed to learned men writing scripts, but I'm sure they get absolutely tons of junk. I know you've seen the videographers that go behind producers and talent agents and rummage through the trash, the bins, thousands and thousands of scripts. I mean, huge dumpsters full of scripts that have been thrown away. And then there's these silly photos of a reader in Hollywood behind the desk, and you can't see who's sitting behind the desk because of the scripts are so high. I think that some of those photos are arranged, but another guy did research and he said 400,000 scripts are written in a year. And that sounds like a lot, but we're 310 million people. So if 1/3% think they're screenwriters, and that's probably about right, they're cranking them out like crazy. It says nothing about the quality. It's just that 400,000 are created. These guys that surround Ridley Scott, they cannot read 400,000 scripts, and they're all of Hollywood is drowning in paper, and that's too bad. I'm sure those dumpsters in Hollywood. They're worthy ideas that are not idiotic, but they get uh, trashed because they don't have connections. They're not networked. They're 18-year-old kids. They're 23-year-old kids. Uh, it's a huge fight to even get your script in front of these people. But well, I've gone on. Ridley Scott would be absolutely ideal. Love his films. They influence me. They've influenced billions of people. And he's almost as influential as the Book of Tobit.